Guys, and Jeremy here. Got a quick video for you. Just some news that you might have seen, but I just wanted to kind of give you my take on it. So it says BMW will charge driver subscriptions for heated seats. This is something that I've kind of seen coming because of another car manufacturer, but I'll let you know on that. So it says BMW is adding another subscription service to its cars, which would make unit sizing in order to access services already built into their cars. The news comes as manufacturers announce updates to its vehicle operating system called Operating System 7. New cars will have the feature built in. BMW will be able to update remotely every line of code that makes the car system work. So originally when they tried to sell this to people, it was kind of like, oh, we'll be able to update your car over the air, like a certain car manufacturer, Tesla. We'll be able to add new features, like at the moment they only do AirPlay, but Apple CarPlay, but they'll be able to do Android Auto in the future. And they'll be able to update it and do this and do that and do this. Oh great, a lot of people are like, okay. But it's been reported that these features could include heated seats as well as driver assist functionalities such as automatic high beams or adaptive cruise controls. So basically they'll be able to turn on and off features as they want. But they're trying to sell it out to you as they're doing you a favour. This is in the near future. We will not only be able to add more functions here, but we will also be able to add even more flexibility for our customer. Flexibility. How is that flexibility? With temporary bookings, so bookings of options for 3 years, for 1 year, or even shorter periods of time, like a few months. So, I mean, they're trying to say that if you want heated seats, you only have to pay for it for 3 months a year if you only want. Or, you could buy the heated seats for a year, or you could buy a sports suspension for 3 years if that's how long your lease lasts and things like that. But I'll get into that later. It says this is not the only instance where BMW offers over-the-air access to functionalities. We offer maximum flexibility, again that word flexibility, and peace of mind to our customers when it comes to choosing and using their optional equipment in their BMWs, where this BMW is new or used. Again, I think that's just ridiculous. In 2019, BMW had to U-turn a decision to charge Apple CarPlay users £85 a year. So if you want to use Apple CarPlay on your BMW, you had to pay another £85 a year. I get it. Apple charges BMW some sort of royalty or license fee to use Apple CarPlay. I get it. Apple's no better. I bet Android probably charges, or Google probably charges them as well. But you got to factor that into the car. And this is the ridiculous thing. I think the Forbes article here says it better. So it says, for example, when the winter comes, they might decide to pay for heated seats for 3 months, which would be activated via software update. A couple of years down the line, the next owner of the car might decide that they want to activate the M adaptive suspension by paying and downloading the software update. But it says BMW will, of course, have factored the cost of fitting heated seats and other hardware into the overall cost of the car, even if they're never activated. So the buyer is, in a way, paying for their fitment anyway. They just can't use them until they cough up some more cash on a regular basis. I mean, it's always been the joke that BMWs, especially, have been really stingy. I mean, the German manufacturers in general, but especially BMW, have always been very stingy in what they put in their cars. I think the 7 Series is a bit of an outlier there. But I mean, if you look at a 3 Series or 5 Series, if you go to Auto Trader or eBay or something like that, you'll be able to see, a manual cloth-seated 5 Series with less options on it than a 15-20-year-old Civic, and you think, how does that work? But the fact that they're putting these things in anyway, because it's probably cheaper for them just to fit everything in, and then obviously they're getting a reoccurring subscription from you to get the money back. So when I was younger, cars were generally, your common cars back then were your Ford Mondeo and your Vauxhall Vectra and stuff like that. And then one day, these German cars just came out on cheap lease deals, which you still get now. 3 Series, 5 Series, E-Classes, C-Classes, A3s, A4s, just started popping out everywhere. Like, literally, it was like one day, if somebody had a BMW, it was like super impressive. And the next day, literally everybody had one, you know what I mean? Everybody had a 318i or whatever. And obviously they're all on lease deals. So I don't know obviously how the lease deals work, but it's clever that if you lease a car now, they'll be getting you for, let's just say it's a 3-year deal, they'll be getting you for the lease plus if you want heated seats, or the fancy stereo and things like that. But when the car's sold back to the finance company and then it's sold again, as cars get older, let's say 5-6 years old, they probably won't visit the dealerships as much because they're probably worth a lot less money, so they're probably getting servicing done from third parties. Parts are probably being used, or aftermarket parts. They're probably, the car dealerships or BMW themselves probably aren't actually earning that much money from the car anymore. Whereas if they got you into a subscription, you're getting a reoccurring fee every year, every 2 years, every 3 months, whatever it is, for heated seats and this, that, there. So if you buy a 6-year-old BMW, you might be getting a bargain, but if you want to use the screen, if you want to use the heated seats, you want to use the suspension, blah, 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 it might be several £100 a month. I don't know what they're going to charge. I don't know how much it's going to be because they haven't said it, but I think that this is the way things are going to go. It's going to be subscription service. Now, a lot of people have compared this kind of subscription service to microtransactions on games, and I see where they're coming from. Obviously there's a lot of similarities there, but I think it's less like a microtransaction and it's more like on-game DLC. So for the non-gamers here, on-game DLC is, well, DLC is downloadable content. This is meant to be a separate piece of the game that you can download, and you've got extra content. But on this DLC is software that they've already worked on, it's already been paid for, it's on your disc already, but they've just walled it off behind a paywall just so you have to pay extra money to pay for it, even though it's kind of included in the price of your game already as such, if you know what I mean. So that's all they're doing. But yeah, it is microtransaction, it is on-game DLC, because they're charging you to fit it in already, and then you have to pay again via subscription, which is ridiculous. Now, obviously, I'm more into Japanese cars, but in the olden Japanese cars, you'd get a car, especially in the 90s, it would usually have everything, plus maybe a sunroof for the extra model, or everything and maybe air conditioning as the top of the range model, because air conditioning wasn't so common back then. But generally, Japanese cars are very generous on their equipment. Even basic Japanese cars come with a lot more spec than a fancy 3 Series or 5 Series, especially for the price. I mean, I know Japanese cars are getting more expensive now, but still, it's just a bad precedent that they're setting here, and I think subscription services are going to come more and more. This isn't necessarily BMW's fault. Tesla started all this with, paying extra for autopilot, and then with the batteries, I think, for example, let's just say the car comes fitted with a 100 kilowatt hour battery, but only 85 kilowatts of it's used. It's not that the other one's been partitioned off for, like the battery usage and things like that. No, they've put the bigger battery pack in there, but you can only use 85% of it, because Tesla says if you want to use 100% of it, or if you want to use 100 kilowatts of it rather, the battery even in the 100 will probably be bigger. But still, if you want to use more, you have to pay us money. Even though we fitted a bigger battery in, we factor that into the price of the car. You have to pay us a subscription if you want to use that thing that you've already paid for in your car. It's just slimy, it's just scummy, but that's the way it's going. So let me know if this is something that you want to see in your cars, or if this is something you don't want to see in your cars.